It's in the heart of the Amazon, and the people there, so he talked about the situation that they're currently in as far as being able to attend the temple. And they literally do travel. They go on a boat because it's too expensive to pay for an airline ticket, is what it boils down to. So they get on a boat. And when they're on this boat, they make their own meals. You know, they do it as a big group. They sleep in hammocks. They take it over to Porto Velho, and then they get on a bus for 3 days, and they take the bus. So the boat's for 4 days, bus is for 3 days. They go down to São Paulo. They have dormitories in the temple at São Paulo, or right next to it. And while they're there, they do the same thing. They have it like where they you take care of it yourself. You know, you take turns cooking meals for each other and stuff, and they just do it as a big group. And that is how they go to the temple in Manaus. So to have this announcement that, you know, the temple is being built, they announced it in 2007. A pretty big deal. Pretty big deal for the people there. When I returned from my mission, I returned in 99. And one of my friends from my mission, she went back, it's like about a year later, I want to say. And while she was there, she had the opportunity to listen to a general authority speak. And he talked about, so that would have been in around 2000-ish. I couldn't remember the exact date. But he told them that they would be able to have a temple one day. And he said, you know, told them one of the things they needed to do was to pay a full tithe so that they would be able to have this temple. And to think about that, you know, we've grown up with the gospel, most of us, not all of us, but most of us have. We've seen it, you know, the tithing is just kind of a normal part of our lives. I never met a single person, member of the church there, who was a second generation member of the church. They were all converts. They were all new to the church. Everything was new. All the concepts, you know, they didn't understand Relief Society and, you know, gospel doctrine, all that stuff. That was all new concepts to them. Even in one of my areas, the branch president had been a member for 3 months when he was called to be the branch president. So, just to give you an idea, the church was just growing like crazy. Lots of new members, and so, anyways, you can see that tithing, that might have been a difficult thing for them to grasp onto. Especially, they are very humble people, and they live in poverty, and they live from paycheck to paycheck to feed their family. People don't have refrigerators, and they don't have, you know, all this stuff we do. They buy their food that day for that meal that day, and that's just how they operate. So to be able to think of saving money so that you can give more away and things, it's kind of a hard concept. But obviously, they got it, and they did it because they have this temple that's going to be dedicated next year. And it's so exciting for me. And I cry every single time I give a lesson. I think, today I am not going to do it. But it always happens. I thought there was nothing today in the lesson that's going to make me cry. And here I am. Okay, so today we are going to be talking about tithing and offerings. And as I was going over the lesson, I thought, you know, it basically just kind of goes down our little tithing sheet and talks about all this stuff. And I thought, you know, that's really tiny. So I made my version of our tithing slip. And this is what we're going to talk about today.
Do we need to take a donation to get you down there for the dedication?
Sure. They are actually planning, I was looking it all up last night, they are planning a big reunion for all the missionaries who serve there down in Manaus next year. So I'm hoping, let's see, I'm going to start, and talking to my husband. Oh, you need to go to Manaus. You need to see it. So anyways, okay, so the first thing that we're going to talk about is tithing. Tithing is our way of giving back to the Lord some of what He has already given us. And I have a quote that talks about exactly what our tithing amount is. Number 1.
In modern times, the prophet Joseph Smith prayed, O Lord, show unto thy servants how much thou requires of the properties of thy people for a tithing. The Lord answered, This shall be the beginning of the tithing of my people. And after that, those who have thus been tithed shall pay 1/10 of all their interest annually. And this shall be a standing law unto them forever. And that's in Doctrine and Covenants, section 119. The First Presidency has explained that 1/10 of all their interest annually refers to our income.
Okay, so our tithing is one of those things, an exact amount. We've been told, we've been taught, it's 1/10 of our increase. And what, ask you guys, what is it that our tithing is used for? I'm sure pretty much all of you guys know most of it, but let's just talk about some of the things our tithing is specifically used for.
The temple.
Oh, the temple,
Lots of buildings,
our buildings, we have lots of buildings to maintain.
universities.
The universities. Speaking of the universities, I thought this is just kind of, I thought this was funny. When I was in college, I was in athletics, and so we traveled around a lot. And when it was Sunday, we'd go to church, obviously wherever we were as a team. And one time we had a man come up to us and he said, "Well, I'm glad to see that how my tithing is being used," you know, referring to us traveling around. And so I thought it was interesting. My coach made sure we all knew that, you know, tithing does not go towards athletics, things like that. It only goes towards the education of the students at BYU and BYU Idaho and all those schools. So I just thought I'd throw that out there. I'm sure you all know that, but I thought it was funny that he said that. What else can you guys think of, or ways that our tithing is used?
I am Bible and book.
Right.
Bible and book.
Exactly, all of our material, our lesson manuals that we use, our scriptures, all that stuff, great. What else? Yes,
Disasters.
I'm sorry, what?
Disasters.
Disasters. Actually, our tithing is not used for disasters. Our tithing is, the fast offerings are used for disasters, and the humanitarian aid fund are used for that. Our tithing is specifically for things that help the church run. So the other things it's used for are the missionary program and family history, which I actually didn't know that, but our tithing is used for family history and temple work. Okay, our next thing, our fast offering. I think it is interesting that it's very specific about what our different things we donate money for are used for very specific things. They don't just, you know, it doesn't just go into one big pool and they do whatever they want. Certain money goes for certain things. So fast offering is our next thing. That is technically our fast offering is the amount we saved by not eating 2 meals because we fasted. But we have been taught by our leaders that we should give generously. So if we can afford to do more than that, we should. And so then our fast offerings are used. Does anyone want to tell me what our fast offerings are used for specifically?
Bishop Storehouse.
Bishop Storehouse. Yes.
Paying people's rents or bills that they might have.
Good. Anything else? Yes.
Well, sometimes they won't pay for the mansions, but they do guarantee that you're not going to go hungry.
Did you? Yes.
I think generally it's for the poor and needy and within our ward.
Right. For the poor and needy to make sure they have food, shelter, clothing, all the things they need to survive. Thank you. Okay, so those are the 2 main things that we contribute to and that we have been told a specific amount about how much we should. Now, but we have lots of other things, opportunities we have to help out with the church programs. Our next one is our ward missionary fund. Now this money goes specifically to our missionaries from our ward who are serving missions. And then there's also the general missionary fund, which goes towards the monthly support of missionaries throughout the world. So it could, you know, if you donate for that, it could go to somebody in Brazil who's serving a mission and can't afford it, you know that. Okay, next is the Book of Mormon fund. This goes specifically to buy Book of Mormons for the missionaries to hand out as when they meet people who are investigating the church. They used to have the family Book of Mormon program. Does anybody remember that? I don't remember that.
I remember.
You remember it?
Used to go to the bookstore and